that I would like to set or position our learning tonight. And I will start off by going back to the holy tablets.
Which essentially is like a full scope of the Adamites' story and beyond, because this was a book that the master teacher put out to seal off the last 2,000 years. It's basically all the religions as well,
right?
That was never told. All the other stories that were never told in the religious context, or the history of Abraham, etc. So, and then beyond that.
Fantastic.
Greetings.
So there you have it, and I think it's an interesting read. Interesting enough, today I was working in the shop, and we had someone coming into the shop asking exactly for the scroll, and being one who's looking to get a copy of the scroll, a physical copy of the scroll, discovered through my search that the price of it could range between £400 to over £1,000. And I think in the price alone, it reflects the value of it. And as Brother Hussein just mentioned, the value is in encapsulating the whole full story, being written by the one who was there when it all began. So I shall start reading from chapter 1, tablet 1, and it says, Epic of Creation and Before. Lo, O my children, allow me to speak with you, for it is time again, every 25,000 years, for the renewal of your way of life. Just please excuse me one sec. Thank you. I'll read that again. Lo, O my children, allow me to speak with you, for it is that time again, every 25,000 years, for the renewal of your way of life, wu-nuwaupu. Let me speak with you of the beginnings of life, before and after the knowledge bestowed upon you of your very own creation, and the making of this planet you call Earth, and the many other planets of which you have no knowledge of. Verse 2, your soul, that is the emotional you, is about to embark upon a journey through time and space and within existence, through a time not yet encountered by Bayamo, the human beast, and the human beings, the children of the Aluhum, the human being Hu, creative force of will, and Mim, also Mami, meaning deity of birth, which is another name for Mother Ninti, who gave birth to the mortals. The human being of Hu, greater force of will, and Main, from the Latin spirit of the dead. Verse 3. Within the confines of this holy tablet, you shall embark upon such knowledge which has never before been made so clear as this for you by any. Verse 4. Let me start by telling you about the beings that existed trillions of years ago, before the Precambrian period, before you, human beings, were created in the physical form upon the planet Tiamat, now called Earth. From the word Iredu, there existed supreme beings of pure green light, ethereal, and sub-supreme beings of the impure amber light, fire. Verse 5. You cannot fully comprehend their beginnings, because their time zones is much greater than your ability to comprehend at this point. Yet, this very tablet, which you are holding in your hand or on screen, will open your eyes to the time zones that are in and beyond space. Verse 6. These supreme beings called Anunnaki or Neteru, whose way of life was called Nuwaupu, were endowed by El Kuluwin, the All, or All, with a superior overstanding 700 degrees in all, 360 degrees of spiritual and ethereal state, the circle, and 360 degrees of physical material state, the square. Verse 7. Glory be to the one appointed who is called in tones Anu, and on earth El Alo, known to many different titles, and the best of which is known to you as Ansars, is Allah, in which He is 360 degrees of the physical world, and the light of this heaven and earth, in which He is also. Verse 8. You should know that eventually the time will come when these supreme beings, Anunnaki, would have to descend upon this planet in order to guide the inhabitants back towards their home, in and beyond the stars. Verse 9. Thereby helping them to become once again the supreme beings of the pure green light, ethereal energy that they once were. But first, one must be sent to prepare a way, and that one is myself. Verse 10. And so it was, for once humans became rulers over the planet Earth, you gradually forgot that your purpose in life was to gain your way back towards the sustainer, which would be the token home. But instead, you became engrossed in pursuit of physical gratification and material gains. Humans forgot the purity with which they were formed. Right, I'll stop there for a second. Just wanting to highlight, again, we're setting the stage for where we come from. And these are the words of Baba Panabab Yanun, my master teacher, telling the whole full story. And what is highlighted here is there are beings far beyond us, greater than us, and we've gone off piste, as it were. We forgot our way, remembering that our main purpose and our route is to find a way, purify and cleanse ourselves to prepare us to go back home, and that is beyond the stars. Is there anything else you want to say at this point, Brother Lucia?
No, you wrote them quite fine.
Any questions?
Yeah, no, William?
Zamal, not yet. Right.
Any questions on? I'll check the chats.
Fantastic. Right. Right. So now I just want to scroll a bit further. I'm going to skip a bit, and then just to give context more concrete. And before I do that, again, we're dealing with timelines, and so I'll give you in the book Fast Track Your Spiritual and Conscious Journey, Activate Your Power from Within, by Asaru Tehutia Tum and Seken Sekam Reye. It did a summary of the timeline. And if I can just activate the light here, it will become easier. Okay. Thank you, Zama. So what we have is a timeline perspective. An overview was life began 76 trillion years ago, where we were all etheric beings. And then after that, our sun was created. That's about 93 million years ago. Then about 24 billion years ago, the Nibiru, the Anunnaki, that's when they came to us, or to planet Earth. Yeah. And then we're now moving into the millions. And then there was lots of activity, and then taking us back to 4004 BC, before Christ. That's when Abraham came along, and then the start or the creation of the Kakasu race, which includes then the Adamites. And that goes up to 2000 years AD, and where we are now, 2025. which is highlighted in the holy tablets, that the time for the Kakasu, or that season of 6,000 years has now ended, and we're now in a new season called the sun cycle. Thank you. Where we have to be prepared and take up our role, preparing for our role in mankind. Just one sec, please. I'm just scrolling. Yeah, we're good. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. I am listening about that.
In preparing for our role,
Yeah,
for mankind, what is the first thing that we should be focusing on in that preparation?
in that preparation, it is, and I stand corrected. I believe we need to prepare our mind, because all is mind, and then in order to facilitate and make it easy for our mind to get to the right space of vibration that it needs to be, we need to cleanse our physical apparatus, our body. And the master teacher quite often speaks about cleaning ourselves inside out and outside in, for that exact purpose, because all is vibration. And that would be my response.
It's a mental liberation. Wu-Sabat is all about the mental. Yeah, so linking into the mental is it's a preparation of, body, mind, spirit. You're linked to all three, because these are the components of your being and soul. Yeah, but the mental is the highest point. You get what I'm saying? Because that's like the plain level field, and that leveling field is where all mind and energies meet in that mental plane. So obviously everyone's got access to that in various degrees on various forms. So the master teacher is raising us, is raising us gradually, do you know what I mean, out of the 1, 2, 3s, the ABCs, the person, places, and things. You with me? And then when you've been raised in degrees, because that's what literally it is, you're being raised in degrees. As Gorek was explaining when he's reading the first part of the Holy Tablets, it talks about 360 degrees of the spiritual and 360 degrees of the physical. So mastering those two allows you to enter into that realm where you're no longer body, you're just mind. And being that you're mind, you're now linked to source. Okay, and being you are a child of that source, because you're a 9th ether being. The highest abode is the 9th ether plane, where you are able to, or what you were doing in your original state or in your cream state, as producing and creating universes. Yeah, in various air pockets, 9 air pockets. So that's essentially where you're supposed to be raised back to, but in that process, you go through different, or what you were levels in your original state, or you leave this realm to go into other realms where you'll be prepared, depending on your credibility, based on your worthiness, you see what I'm saying, the ability to listen to order, because the universe is about order. Many people don't realize that, like, why do I have to do what the master teacher tells me to do? Why do I have to do this? And because it's order, it's my act. You know what I mean? So if you're a person that obeys the laws of my act, then all days transfer in the universe. If you want to give a quote unquote loose terminology, Jedi Knights, Star Wars, yeah, look at them. They live by the Force, and everything has been balanced. Yeah.
I have another question. In pertaining to the transfiguration, I'm pertaining it in my mind to like a surgical operation. So you see how in a surgical operation, you will have to go for a time after that operation where you experience extreme levels of discomfort because the body is healing and basically those nerve endings are coming back together. Is there a similar effect within the mind or within that other realm of those things happening? And what are you able to explain the experience of what that discomfort looks like?
In the mind.
Yeah, so you see how, like, okay, so say for example, if you come with a lot of trauma and a lot of like pain that needs to be let go of, so you can now then transfigure your mind to think differently of yourself. So for example, if you grew to hate your hair, now you have to transfigure your mind to then not hate it, to then love it. But then during that pathway that you go through that transition, you might, I'm asking you, would you therefore, I'm using a very trivial topic, but would you therefore go through like a discomfort during that transition? And what is are you able to like explain what that discomfort would look like? Like, how do you know that you're going through that healing? That makes sense.
I think particularly on the physical plane on Earth, as we prepare, there's going to be the discomfort. I think we spoke in a previous lecture about how we are energetically, by way of DNA, we connect to our ancestors. So they may have aspects that also requires healing. And I think it's within the healing context where it's about the decision that's being made. It's about it's about the decisions that's being made. It's about the actions that's being followed up with that quite often deals with or creates this discomfort. Because 6,000 years ago, the Anunnaki, led by Enlil, isn't it?
Well, longer than that.
Yeah, so,
longer than that. But yeah.
So he cast a spell because of what you could see the Adamites were doing, and that disconnected us with our true essence. So we finding our way back. So the discomfort comes in when we make those decisions that we know, okay, well, we can discern between right and wrong, better or not. We had a discussion before the call started. So we now know that there's discomfort in that, and it's sitting in that discomfort, becoming comfortable in discomfort to the point where it's okay. I'll make the analogy comparing it to an injury, right? You obtain an injury, you heal, or the operated heals, but the real challenge comes in, you have to push yourself through the pain of that injury to the point where eventually you actually have to tell yourself, I need to forget about it, because as long as you remember it, it's an issue. Because the doctors they've done their bit, the body's done its bit, and you in your mental need to let it go. So I think that discomfort happens when you make those decisions and being okay, being uncomfortable, because you understand the end game, as it were. And what is it?
No, at all. It's a rehabilitation, of the mind, the exorcism of the mind, and the spirit and the soul. It's all of these intertwined practices that you have to do on self. Like we always stress, Wu-Sabat is not a religion. You with me? It's a way of life, yes. You will have the support, yes. You with me? But you have to be also showing that you're willing. So like the analogy that Greg is given about, healing, etc. You have an assistant when you're going through rehab to help you heal, or at least deal with the mental aspect of it, because really ultimately it's you. Do you know what I mean? They can only assist you so far, but ultimately it's you that has to do the walking, do the, getting up in the morning, doing certain things by yourself. So it's that mental push and mental acceptance of that. First and foremost, yes, I am damaged. Yeah. And now I need the healing process. So ancestors are there. Do you know what I mean? Living well is there. There's well-being, mental well-being. All of these aspects of how to develop yourself into a supreme being are there, but you've got to make that step. It's not I'm going to hold your hand and give you a promise there's a pie in the sky or there's a man in heaven and you just pray to them and then everything will be fine. You with me? You got to do so. You are that God that we always keep telling everybody. You are a divine being. You just have to be accessed. You have to be activated. Yeah. So I hope that answers your question. And that's what it was about. Oh, well. So cameraman is just telling us angle. Right.
You have a question as well? Go ahead.
I'm gonna adopt her as my sister.
yeah,
So we can't.
you're an elder man. You
Yeah.
have to take good care of the elders.
Yeah, one family.
You talk about the physiotherapist, the counselor,
Mm-hmm.
Family.
in order to some previous steps before reaching our original status as supreme beings.
Mm.
If that is that's my supposition at least. But how do we open the gates or the chakras or whatever you call it in this system in order to get to the supreme consciousness or whatever you want to call it?
Yeah.
I don't know what you call it in this system, but
Yeah, chakras, we're familiar with chakras, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
so after the healing, then it's the spiritual journey to become fully conscious, I suppose.
Yeah.
But what is the process? What is it called? Basically, is the question. The process.
I think the process is called cleansing with a view to, or purification with a view to ascent, right? Because everything is vibration. And when we talk about the chakras, it's energy, circles, energy,
Centers.
centers. Yeah, I'm just going to say, there's a word that starts with a C. There are energy centers in different parts of the body. As Negroids, we have 9 chakras. So with a normal 7, and then you've got one in your navel and one round about your nasal area. So it's understanding and which frequency they vibrate on. So one route could be to use what do you call it? Not binaural beats, music.
Well, we got our own tones that we
tones,
use. Yeah. So
yeah,
our tones, understand that every race or species has a different vibrational frequency. Yeah. And it's based on that. So tone, sound, vibrational frequency is specific to each race. So we have to find our own. And so the master teacher has curated and shown us our own. So the tones are F major, F minor, and F sharp. Likewise, again, A major, A minor, A sharp, and the C minor, C major, C sharp. So those are our natural tones that links in us with natural nature. Okay, so there's an instrument. It's not here actually. Yeah, it's called a harmonium. Yeah, you know the harmonium.
Kind of
Like an Indian, it's an Indian, it's an Indian hollow air. It uses air. It abstracts it. We're using air. And that harmonium is the most naturalist tone, most natural tone you can use. Just what I'm saying. And so what that does now is the F note, it links in you with natural nature.
Right.
The A note, it also aligns with your ancestors as well. They're elementals because they're elemental beings. And the A note is your body's natural frequent tone. So that once you're able to find the A note, the F note, and the C note is the cosmos, like the universe. Okay, so those notes is what we've been given, and the language that we speak, Ms. Batia, is also based on those tones and vibrations and frequencies. So
what was that word you said?
Miss Batia. Say Sabaean, our Sabian language. You see when you see that script like on here, that's our Sabian script. Yeah, which our
Sabian
ancestors, the Sabian language.
From Saba.
Saba is from not the Arabian. What you go and research, it predates that.
Yeah,
but it was reintroduced into that area by Queen Hatshepsut or Queen of Sheba, Makeda.
Yes.
Yeah, so she reintroduced the language. You understand? But it goes beyond that. It goes to the origin of the stars, because that's the true origin of it. It came from the stars.
Jumping ahead now.
Okay, so I'll just bring it back. So that area known as Arabia and Sabian area is where the language, you can actually find pockets of that language and dialects of that language still spoken today, known as Ge'ez. That's one language. Ethiopian, exactly, because you can still see the script. You with me? Yeah.
Right.
So in those tones, your body realigns itself, your brain realigns itself. See what I'm saying? And your spiritual and your soul also realigns itself. So the configuration is taking place, not just on a physiological level, but also on a quantum level. And if you don't want to go there, then we just keep it on the atomic level.
Well,
yeah.
science is not my hot
Yeah.
spot,
Okay. So DNA wise,
Yeah.
your DNA is being recalibrated.
Right. Okay.
You with me? It's being reattuned. So to cut it short, you go to, before you play any musical instrument, what do you have to do?
Well, I suppose you have to tune up the piano or
There you go.
guitar or whatever.
Exactly. So it's got to be tuned to the right note.
No.
So your body is out of tune with the natural notes of the universe and the planet. So the language that we speak, the tones that we chant in, is all designed to re-link you back into the universe. Sorry, in first the solar system, the galaxy, and the universe, and beyond.
Sorry to ask this question, but I only feel comfortable if I can link what I already know
Of course.
to
Yeah.
what you're referring to. When you say the word tones, is it got anything to do with alpha and beta states?
That's part of it. That's more to do with brain frequency
Yeah.
and your body vibration. Like a cat, for instance, when a cat purrs,
Yeah.
it goes into I can't remember, I think it's an alpha state or one of those states.
It's a very calm state,
exactly. That's why, when you're near a cat and it's purring, it can actually calm you down. You see what I'm saying? So your body literally drops to that state, and also your brain frequency drops to that state. So yes, in comparison, when you're speaking Ms. Batia, known as Sabatic, okay, your frequency of your brain is also going into those what's known as the Hertz frequencies.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Right. So is there any connection between what you call tones, the frequencies you mentioned about alpha and beta, and the chakras? Are they kind of connected?
Everything's connected. Go on.
Yeah, I think the combination is the tone or the frequency facilitates the state. So alpha, beta, it's a state. It's a state.
Theta.
It's a state of mind.
Right.
So your alpha is more relaxed. Your theta is you virtually asleep and you open, and your subconscious is on operation, where your conscious is closed, and then your beta is you're live and you wide awake. Process consciousness. So in terms of the tones is facilitating. It's part of the process to get you to that space.
Yeah.
So when we're looking at the chakra system, each chakra has a certain vibration, certain frequency at which it vibrates, and then that opens up the chakra. And like obviously each chakra is linked to a system in the body, lymphatic, respiratory,
and it's linked to a gateway.
And it's
Oh.
Yeah. So your body is what is explained by Barnabab in a book called The Melanite Children, is that your whole body is a tuning fork.
Yes. Yeah. I can imagine that.
Yeah, because what it is, when you look at the ancient hieroglyph, okay, they used to have always sort of thet. Yeah, and that thet was in the shape of an actual tuning fork or body. So the ancestors knew that they worked with the blood and the DNA. So they understood that sound, frequency, and vibration affects us and alters our vibrational frequency. So in practicing these things, the A note, for instance, it actually acts as a energy that your body draws in, and your body stores it like a capacitor. Like in a battery, it stores it. So your body stores that energy, which you can harness that energy and utilize it to heal yourself, etc.
Right.
See what I'm saying? So yeah.
Right. If I'm doing sorry.
No, you're linking things up, so it's fine.
If I'm doing Tai Chi, then I'm kind of generating or manifesting or creating energy.
Tua.
So
Yeah.
this is part of the daily thing.
So yeah, that's right. You're generating energy.
But also remember with the Tai Chi is you do certain postures or you hold certain postures or you make certain mudras to use the Indian word, to achieve a certain goal. You know, so you'll have Tai Chi moves that allows you to relax. You have certain Tai Chi moves that raises the energy or lowers the energy, etc., etc. So it's utilizing again, utilizing those aspects to allow you to get to a state of mind. You know, if you take it one step further, you know, depending on what you want to achieve, that could lead to meditating. And the meditation is then opens you up where you have the easier exchanges and access to your ancestors as well as the ethereal beings.
Yes, Tua. We'll reset the room after this question. Is it linked to the Adamite timeline? If not, no, it's fine. We'll reset the room and then.
Well,
Yeah,
sorry,
go ahead.
it's just about what you're saying now. Because we are working as like a battery storing this energy, right? Two questions. Does that mean that based on what our current ability of what kind of battery we are, essentially, that we can possibly get to a point where we are receiving so much energy about something that we get almost like turned off, almost like when like a battery blows, because it's just like
that's right.
too much going on for me to even deal, and that's why we get into that mentality of I can't do this anymore kind of thing. Not I can't do this anymore, but almost like my head's gonna explode if I absorb any more of that in regards to what I'm going through kind of thing.
But in a sense of drawing in energy because you're chanting, because it's more like if your body now is vibrating on the A note, you're likely more to draw in the energy from the environment. Do you see what I'm saying?
But if you're drawing in the energy from the environment, but the environment that you're in.
No, it's not like that. It's like there's energy in this environment now, okay? And your melanin is absorbing all this energy. But what will happen is your body has the ability to differentiate what energy is required for what particular organ, etc. Because your body is intelligent like that. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, so part of the harnessing of that energy is now you're able to utilize that energy. So you're sick, but you have abundance of chi. Or you can now direct that chi into that organ to heal that organ. That's the ability that you have. You with me? Yeah, anything that you have going on, like we will talk through the signs of healing, one of the old scrolls under the master's guidance. In the signs of healing, you can draw in the green light. It's a current that's actually in the environment. It's known as the green energy, which flows from him. Yeah, the being, Yanun. So you can actually draw the currents of green energy into the very fiber of your being. Yeah, and direct that energy into any part of your body, head, brain, wherever it is, to help with the healing process. In addition to that, you have your chants where you can find the particular deities who respond to your body's ability to heal itself. So you have pa, this, that, person, being, that when you remember it's a tone and a vibration. So what's taking place is when you're speaking, you're activating that energy, those principles, and they've been attracted to your being. So we had the ability to heal ourselves. We had the ability to grow wings because we knew the signs and the formulas of who to call on or what to draw energy from.
So if this is the case, when you get into a moment of feeling overwhelmed, it's not that you're actually overwhelmed. Is it that the functions of your body to be able to transfigure that energy to utilize it for what it needs to are not operating correctly?
Exactly. It's not being.
That's
the word they'll use. You're feeling overwhelmed, but really and truly, it's because you haven't been able to process. Do you see what I'm saying? It's like when someone gives you so much information, you feel overwhelmed, don't you? It's not because it's just your brain hasn't assimilated it to process it. You see what I'm saying?
And if I may, just I think the other benefit is also when you go into a quiet space in terms of meditating, that allows your body
Exactly.
the opportunity
Yeah.
to process and direct the required energies.
Sure.
And then on top of that, because you know that now, it allows you an opportunity to start thinking in a different way,
Mhm.
because everything is a choice. A thought is a vibration. Then a word is a thought, manifested. So it allows us to start thinking in a different way, in that ethereal way, if we can, when we can.
Yeah.
So
So let's just reset the room. This class today is the timeline of the Adamite Pa Mukasu. So we're going to be doing a topic class based on that, or Greg will be covering most of it and I'll be his assistant. We will support each other while we deal with the class. So yeah, the questions, if it's on that, please ask, and if it is obviously not on that topic, we'll still be happy to answer it as well. Tawata,
Zoom, just to give you an opportunity to ask any questions.
Yeah, I've got.
Okay, we've got Zamalia. You listening?
Mugdal, Elder
My name is Tundi, by the way.
Tundi, Mugdal Tundi.
Yeah,
We never address just Tundi. You're an elder.
yeah,
So
okay.
Mugdal.
Baba Tundi is like father return.
Okay, we'll say that then. Baba
In
Tunde.
West Coast.
Okay.
You're not a Tongan, are you, by any chance?
No.
What kind of area of the world?
No, South Africa.
Okay, yeah. Because
I thought you would have been
Look at the eyes, man.
from,
no, but yeah,
So grey
I
eye,
mean, but in the, what do you call it, the Pacific, there's
yeah.
Chinese
That's
and
right.
African
That's right. That's
type
right.
people.
Oh yeah.
Because they sail there, but that's
And
another subject.
Oh yeah, you got in South Africa they call it epicantic.
That's right.
Yeah.
The Chinese looking, the Khoisan,
That's right.
Yes, yeah.
etc.
My ancestry, yeah.
Khoi,
Not all of us.
yeah.
That's his root.
Yeah.
Right,
What's
Oh,
your
thanks.
question, Zamal?
right. There was something on BBC. It really kind of quickly got to me, you know, because it's a pattern that I saw repeat many times. What is it that is it their vibration level, or what is it? What is it that causes the Australians, Americans, and the Danish to sort of want to take the children of indigenous people, take them into boarding schools, take them away from their family anyway, and re-educate them? What is that about? What is this? What psychology?
Okay, I'm glad you asked that because that kind of like ties in slightly into the timeline of Pa Mukasu, the Adamite. But there's a movie you should watch called Rabbit Proof Fence. I think it's called something right. Yeah, I think it's called the white fence or something like that. Something white fence. Yeah, but that's a very good depiction of what they've done to the Aborigines in Australia. Yeah, but regarding the Adamites, okay, is what we're kind of like. So go ahead.
Right. Thank you. Yeah, because I think that's a very different conversation. And we shall make a note and maybe do a lecture on that.
Oh yeah,
Right.
the South African accent now.
Right. So we're back at the Holy Tablets. We on tablet 3, verse 83. It was 76 trillion years ago when the original woolly-haired deities were in their cream history, living in the air pockets in the form of gases in an ethereal state. In the process of creating and growing, this present universe, this period of time, was long before Kadmon was in the flesh. The black-skinned, straight-haired Hindus. These beings lived on their home planet for 10 billion years, which was between the time period of 76 and 66 billion years ago. It was also 76 billion years ago that the original black-skinned, straight-haired Hindu beings left the Canis Minor star constellation Procyon. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Procyon.
Procyon, thank you. Known to them as Nirvana or Kingu, the moon. They first took residence on the other planets such as Earth, Titan, and Pluto, and then they went to Kingu, the moon, where the Lunarians, humanoid type Maldekian, resided, which was 66 billion years ago. Right, I'm just thinking, I want to get to another piece. Because the relevance of this and the timeline is obviously we've got the 76 trillion years, we're now with the 66 billion years, we're moving forward, but I'm mindful.
Read that again.
Yeah, leaving time for questions and the answers too.
Mhm.
Do you need lines or not?
Yeah, that's right. You are.
Okay.
Right. So you have 76 trillion years, ether, beyond quantum physics, beyond time. In this solar system, our ancestors exist. So that's what just read in the cream history.
Mhm.
Then you have 93 billion years, our sun, sustain of the life in our solar system, the true Son of God, not Son, S-O-N. Vowels A-E-I-O-U, Son, and which is S-U-N, and Son, S-O-N, Amen, M-E-N, or Amun, M-U-A-M-U-N. God as in G-O-D, and Gad as in G-A-D. This is all dealing with vowels. 24 billion years, Nibiru and Anunnaki. The Anunnaki, Ki, Gi, G, Geo, geometry, geology, etc. Gods, Elohim, Allah are extraterrestrials. So millions of years elapsed, and then we jump down to what you mentioned, the birth, 4004 BC.
Yeah. Right. Thank you, Zama. Oh. Yeah. I think it's there we go. 26. Right. So I'm going to jump and then we go over to the same tablet, verse 136. The descendants of Canaan of 4,004 years ago, before 2,000 years ago, or 6,000 years ago, which was the birth of their own Adam, which also called Edom Labana, because Canaan held ruddy red skin at birth, being born with albinism before departing from the craft, and when he did blush, he transformed to red, giving him a name Edom or Adam. Yet his skin was white like milk at birth, and he did get the name Labana for milky white, but thereafter was his disagreeableness. He was cursed with Swara, or in Nuwaupu, Saruti, meaning leprosy or a malignant skin disease in the skin of his flesh, to plague him all the days of his life. Yes.
Is there a connection between albinism and leprosy?
Yes.
Is it the same thing?
Not in the sense where there's a connection. It's in the connection in the sense that it's to do with recessive genes. Yeah, because albinism, you can still get a Nagaru or African who's got albinoism, but they're still of the African race.
Yes.
You can get
Yeah,
Hindus,
Nigerian.
exactly, and Hindus have albinos as well in their race. So it's linked in the sense that it's recessive.
Oh, maybe another sort of indirect question is, the lady who wrote the ISIS papers,
Dr. Francis
Cresswell, yeah, something like that. She suggests that maybe Neanderthals and albino Africans were the ancestors of the European type people, the white skinned people, near albinos.
Yeah, it was just a suggestion. We're giving you the actual facts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was a theory. She
Yeah.
didn't say it was.
Yeah.
But she suspects.
No. There is
I
a
mean,
there is a link. There's a link, but it's a bigger breakdown. Yeah.
When you say albinism, are you referencing the Bible, where you get this text that says Edom was albino? It's just the first time I've heard of this. Well, my understanding, I thought red was red and ruddy, and the albino was kind of it's more, white.
No. Okay. What happens? Okay, when you see the word red, go into the etymology. Every time you see a word in the English, you always have to go to etymology, because remember, English is derived from Indo-European languages.
Mm-hmm.
So in the Indo-European languages, you see the true meaning. So the word red is actually ruddy in the etymology.
Mm-hmm.
So these albinos and also the Caucasian race were ruddy. You can see the word red when they go under the sun because they get burnt by the sun. And that's a reddish complexion that they get. You know what I'm saying? Due to the lack of melanin.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes.
But that was not just an Adamite trait or an albinism trait. Albinism function. It goes way before the Bible story. Does that make sense? It's just that what's happened is the Bible story has taken factual information and rewritten in a way and regurgitated back as something that was a grand scheme made by an unseen God character. But it's none of that when you actually break down the words and the language. And that's what the master teacher's been doing. Yeah?
One more question.
Yeah, sure.
Just to understand the definition of ruddy, because I've read some old texts where people of a darker skin tone have also been described as ruddy.
Correct. That's what I'm saying. So yeah, so the Edom, as it was breaking down here, the vowels. So when you have Adam, the A and the E are interchangeable. You see what I'm saying? So when you're actually reading Adam, you're actually reading Edom. And Edom goes back to red. I'll give you an example biblically. There was Jacob and Esau. They had a fight about the pottage of stew.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, give me that red. But the word that they've translated and didn't give you the meaning of, you find the word Edom. You see what I'm saying? The same word that is for the Edomites or for the Adamites, who are of a reddish to pale complexion. So these Adamites can be from light skin all the way down to your Arabs are all Adamites, because they also can tan, but in a reddish hue. You see what I'm saying? So you have to start now looking at DNA, phenotypes, genotypes, etc. And then you'll be able to then understand what is actually talking about when they're talking about the Adamites, and that it wasn't referring to the whole world. Does that make sense? Okay.
Elder, we've got a question online. Can we just hear that and then
Go ahead, Kobe. Unmute your mic and ask your question.
Robot.
Robert.
So my question is, the Anunnaki created Cadmon. How did you get from Cadmon to Edom?
That's what we're saying. Cadmon was originally Hindu.
Mm-hmm.
But in his genetics and the mixture of all the way down to other extraterrestrial mixing in, like the Pleiadians, etc.,
mm-hmm.
they had it all in their genes. So it's like in the fourth generation, things manifest.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Tua. Sure.
Yeah, so you have like recessive genes normally show up their trait in the fourth generation. This is when you go back to Gregor Mendel, who is the father of genetics, according to the Europeans. Yeah, he was able to see that in every fourth generation, there's a recessive trait or a change in genes. So this is what happened with the Mukasu from the Cadmonites or the Adamites all the way down to the Mukasu, who are your Canaanites, who mixed in and became what we refer today as the white people.
Wow. Okay, so that explains that. In terms of like Neanderthal and the Cro-Magnon, does that have any play here?
Neanderthal, right. So when we first open up class, people go back to the Ten Commandments.
Nado, my kids were
Right,
crying.
so
I couldn't hear you
so
guys.
when can you hear us?
No, I can hear you now. I can hear you now. Go for it.
Oh, okay. So it says here on the Adamites, Ipa Mumbab Yanun do not want you to think that the use of Adamite means all and every so-called white person. It does not mean that. There was many wu-nuwaupu Europeans on planet Earth long before the making, grafting, breeding of the hybrid seed of Muadamu Adamites. The first man, Adam, was, now we know what Adam means, a red ruddy being, was born on the 6th month of Tammuz, 6th day of that month, the year 3761 BC, 6,000 years back from 2080. Yeah. So that links into Holy Tablets 4004 BC. It's when this particular strain came out. Yeah, does that make sense?
Wow.
Okay.
Total.
Yeah, go ahead. It's on the class, please.
Yeah, I'm trying to get my head around the ruddy thing.
Okay.
Because just thinking from when I was younger, I remember a girl used to say to me, your skin's so orange.
Mm.
And she's like, why is your skin so orange? And I'm like, oh, I eat a lot of carrots. Something, something like this.
Okay.
But I've seen some people who had a ruddy tone who were melanated. And a good way to look at it is this picture of the Egyptian people in the hieroglyphs. Would you say that they are ruddy or albinos? Because
they're not albino. Like I was saying, there's a range, okay, of melanin. You with me? So if you go and study melanin, pull it up. I can't remember. There's theomelanin, which is like your very dark skinned when you go to like places like Sudan. Yeah, they're almost blue-black or green hue. Yeah. This would have been known as your Cushites in the Bible's story of them or explanation. Or if you go into ancient Egypt, they'll be known as the Hamites. Yeah. But as time went on, these phenotypes, okay, differentiated. So if you just bring up right. So you have uromelanin is the most abundant type of melanin, is responsible for dark colors in the hair, skin, and eyes. It comes in two forms, black eumelanin and brown eumelanin. That would be us, originally, the root race. Okay? Then you have pheo, it's pronounced or spelled Pheo. Theomelanin is responsible for lighter colors, such as red and yellow hues. Okay? And then you have the last one. There should be a last one. No, that have more to do with the brain. But there should be another third one. I can't remember what that was called. But there should be three types. So initially, the answer is the second one, the Pheo. So now what's taken place is due to migration and diversification of DNA and mixing, you have these different hues manifesting. You see what I'm saying? In addition, we as Nagaru, the word Nagaru is an ancient term, refers to the skin tone, which means copper tone. Okay, so we as Nagaru have a range of skin hues of 9 different shades. You see what I'm saying? But what makes us different and unique is our hair. When you look at all other races on the planet, they have straight hair. Unless there's been intermingling or mixing where you have the curly and wavy hair.
Mhm.
You understand? Yeah. So we as Nagaru, what makes us unique is our 9 ether hair, the ball of wool. Or in ancient science, it was known as flocculation. When you look at flocculation, it means wool tuft of wool.
Mm.
And that's the same thing when you look at the sun. The sun gives off flocculation. It gives off that kind of round effect when it has a sunburst. And that's why we're children of the sun, 9 ether beings, because we have the same thing. We represent the sun's manifestation on this planet. Does that answer your question? Okay, so Malta. Elder
You're gonna,
first.
yeah, no, the
Yeah.
elder was first.
Elder first.
I've
Okay.
got my phone.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
Not just pretty.
No, you're not just free.
Right. Oh, yes. Our brother here was talking about red.
Sure.
I believe Mr. Malcolm X was referred to as red, and he got kind of reddish hair.
That's right. He had that theomelanin going on.
That wasn't because he was sort of albino-ish or whatever you call it, a degree of albino.
No. He basically had Caucasian genes in him. You see what I'm saying? So Caucasian genes, or European genes, have manifested. You see, it's all about the different genetic traits that are expressed in an individual. You see what I'm saying? So you may be Nagaru, having all about what is predominantly expressed by your genes will manifest. And I'll give you a simple example, like a mole. You see what I'm saying? Or a one eyebrow thicker than, you know what I mean, the other. It's just something that's expressed by your genes. Your gene expression. Does that make sense? So for him, what was expressed more was his freckles, because what is the melanin parasols was trying to do, just what I'm saying, was fill the whole skin, but he didn't have the right functions or processes to be able to do that. That's why he has freckles, or had freckles.
Well, I suppose many people of
Use
African
the
origin.
mic, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I suppose, is it true that most people of African origin, not all, but have white genes because
Exactly, European genes,
their
because
grandmothers
of
was
mixing.
visited by
Exactly.
European men, shall we
Exactly.
say, in the
Yeah.
evening.
Mm-hmm. Even before then, not just the evening, you had Vikings that were in Africa thousands of years.
Oh, in the north.
Yeah. Vikings were. I remember there's been so much
Berbers and
migration.
all them.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Europeans have been, especially invading for thousands of years. Just that we know about the last 600 because it was the most traumatic.
So based on what we've just been speaking about, I'm asking because I've always had a bit of an insecurity about how you might disagree, but I grew up in a household where the darker you are, the more celebrated you are.
Oh yeah.
That's not. I grew up in a household where it was like the darker you are, the more celebrated you are.
Okay. That's
opposite.
That's the opposite. Yeah. That's
No.
opposite.
Which is good
Mhm.
because I've never had an insecurity when in terms of people coming against my blackness. But the reason I'm asking is because based on your melanin, this color of your skin, does that a telltale sign of the level of strength of your DNA? Because I know we were talking more about the hair, and the hair is more of a telltale sign. But wouldn't they both
They correlate.
be a telltale sign, if that makes sense?
Yeah.
So even if you had 9, 10 ether hair, right?
Like steel wool.
Yeah. because your complexion doesn't match the hair,
Mm.
would that mean that there is some discrepancies within your DNA?
Not necessarily, no. I remember I said to you, is this what's expressed?
Because
This is what's
look at the
expressed.
Bushman.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Of Kalahari. They
Yeah.
most of them are of your skin tone.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying? And but yet they look at their hair texture. So it's not it's what's expressed in the genes. You heard me? And yes, having a darker hue shows the frequency of your melanin and how fast it's moving. You see what I'm saying? Like for instance, the name in the African, sorry, not African, in the Bible, Kida. The word Kida means strong genes. You with me? Because he was the son of Ishmael. But Ishmael, what his mother did was, when she conceived him, she took him back to ancient Egypt to marry amongst his own. So she took a wife who was of darker skin. So the child that was born is called Kida, which means strong genes. So the stronger your genes is showed by the hue of your melanin and how fast it's moving, especially how fast it's moving. Yeah. I'm talking about this
A
one.
very sort of minor question is, those people who are able to rap spontaneously, is that something to do with their melanin?
That's all due there. That's all part of the fastness, the speed that can Yeah, it's a lot to do with that as
I
well.
always admire those people.
How they can string words together like that. Yeah,
Spit it out what they've got.
Yeah. Definitely a skill. So yeah,
Right. Just have a quick look at Zoom.
any chats? What's in the chat?
Messages? No, nothing in the chat.
Okay, cool.
That's interesting.
All right, we'll continue with our class. Can everybody see it on Zoom still? It's still being shared? Just give a yes or no from anyone. You can see the screen.
Sure.
Yes.
All right, tell
Are we still sharing?
Yeah, we're still sharing.
Okay. No.
Background as well.
Well, it's not.
You can see it?
Yes, great class. Thank
Can we
you.
be on camera too?
Oh, there you go. Share it now. Share it again.
Okay. Well,
Now we can see it.
While we're
yeah, but
can
I'm gonna go off it now.
it be seen? All right, go to do a share again.
Yeah.
Screen. Double click. Yeah. Right, tell us up.
Fantastic. Right. So coming back, we are on tablet 3, verse. I'll start again with 136 because we've had a chat. Right, verse 136. The descendants of Canaan of 4,400 years, 4,004 years ago, before 2,000 years ago, or 6,000 years ago, which was the birth of their own Adam, also called Edom, Labana. 137. Because Canaan had ruddy red skin at birth, being born with albinism, before departing from the craft, and when he did blush, he transformed to red, giving him the name Edom or Adam. Yet his skin was white like milk at birth, and he did get the name Labana, for milky white. But thereafter, for his disagreeableness, he was cursed with Twarath, or in Wu-Nuwaup, Zaruthe, meaning leprosy or malignant skin, disease in the skin of his flesh, to plague him all the days of his life. Verse 138. To the Melanite members of his family, this recessive Melanite child was called the devil, and was chased by his own family from the land of Cadmon, and he did end up taking refuge in the Caucasus Mountains, where Labana was called Canaan, for he and his family moved from the heights of the mountains into the lowlands. He was also an albino by birth and a leper by curse, but was destined to take his wife and sister Salha, the pure Melanite, for that was the way of the land and the family. verse 139. Their deportation from the land of Kadmon took them to the mountain regions between the Caspian and the Black Sea, where they were later known as the Amorites, mountain dwellers, because his son, Amor's son, resided there. 140. There are many Aryan tribes, as there are Nubian tribes, which is the original name for the Nubian, Patahite, Ethiopian, Cushite. Verse 141. The being Yaqub created there was first called Adam, born 8,400 years ago. 141. His wife was named Lilith, born 8,400 years ago, which was not to be mistaken for Kadmon, and his wife named Nekiba, who was born 49,000 years ago. 143. Kadmon, who was born 49,000 years ago, as being of Kuhite, Hindu, and Kushite, Nubian descent. 144. Most of the Australian Aboriginals have their Barathi gland, and they use their 4 higher senses. So they are called spirit monkey or monks. 145. Hindus began to give reverence to the 1/2 animals and 1/2 human creatures that came from Kingu. 146. Australian Aborigines have 6 ether straight hair, even blonde hair, with copper-toned skin. 147. Also, there is an Aryan who calls himself Indo-Aryan, meaning noble Aryan, who is of his cursed seed. 148. And from the descendants, there are Shaggies who mix with the Hindus. 149. The physical appearance of the Aryan, the Sanskrit word meaning noble, is the albino who lived in the Caucasus or Caucasian mountains. 150, which is the region between the Black Sea and the west and the Caspian Sea on the east. A great mountain range which raises to 18,510 feet at Mount Elbrus. Verse 152. From the word Abras means leprosy in Ashurik and Saruth in Nuwaubic. 153. Caucasia, part of Russia, has an area of 170,000 square miles. 154. The Greeks named it Caucasia, which is the home of the Flugeroids, as they are called in Almany, or what is called Germany today. And the original name is Halabians, or Halub, which is to distinguish themselves from the descendants of Labana, Canaan, the Caucasians, right? And I think earlier we mentioned about how these beings were created long before the Adamites as we know them today, and we'll later discover what and how they were grafted. Any questions up till now? Yes, Zamal.
I forgot what I was going to ask.
I was going to ask a question regarding the origin of Esau and the Caucasus Mountains. I understood that Esau was Jacob's brother from biblical tales, and from my study, anyways, I found that this book is written about a place in Asia. Assyrians, Mesopotamia, the Chaldeans, all this is all in Asia. But is the Caucasus Mountains not somewhere closer to Europe or from this part? So does this mean that Esau was driven away by his brethren?
Pause in your question, yeah. It was what was read is that Canaan, that's not Esau.
Okay.
So from your understanding, where you getting that from? I'm not questioning because I don't, but where you reading that particular understanding from? What book or information have you come across?
The Bible and the book of Jasher,
Yes, yeah.
which also tells the tale of what happens with the brothers
Okay.
and how eventually the Edomites joined up with the Latins. They're all black or melanated beings, according to my understanding. And then from there is when Edom's kingdom fell and the Latin was taken over into the Roman kingdom that we are in today.
Okay.
So Edom's kingdom was essentially Greek,
Okay.
or something of the sort.
Okay.
But
I think that's you definitely whoever is reading from, they haven't given you the linguistic or the etymological understanding of what these names mean. They're just telling you Esau, Edom, etc. But they're not giving you, first and foremost, know that Esau means hairy, because he was born with hairy red skin. Hairy red fur. And we can go into the breakdown how he got that. But essentially, the reason why he became Edom is because of the pottage stew he didn't allow his brother to consume.
right, like
Exactly. So he was given that title Edom, and that became your Edomites. You see what I'm saying? Now, the Edomites are different from the Adamites in the sense that they were different generations altogether. So when you're trying to marry the two, know that it was different generations. The Esau came way down the line. Does that make sense?
after
Way after, in the sense of Isaac. Isaac gave birth to Jacob and Esau. You with me? And Isaac came from Abraham. You follow? And Abraham was from, we can go into the book of Luke. It gives you the whole genealogy in the book of Luke chapter 3. It actually gives you who begat who begat who begat who, etc. You can actually read it. So you can see that Esau comes way down the line. You with me? Okay? So the whoever you're reading that information from is chronologically incorrect.
Yeah, I thought Esau was twins.
No.
Jacob.
Yeah, Jacob and Esau were twins. There's no dispute. Yeah. But what I'm saying is that it was a different timeline. It wasn't him going up to the Caucasus Mountains. The people that went to the being or the person that went to the Caucasus Mountains, we read it here. His name was Canaan, or his real name was Libana. You with me? Yeah. But he was also an Edom because of his reddish complexion.
Oh, he was an Edomite.
Well, he was an Edomite, but he wouldn't have, because the word "ite," when you're saying "I," you're saying nation. You see what I'm saying? He hadn't become a nation yet.
Well, I mean, he's on the same tribe.
Yeah, he was. That's what I'm saying. There's branches of these. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's under the same tribe, Adam.
Right.
Can I just ask a quick question? I read a book about the Bible, and Blacks in the Bible, it's called. He says that the regular James version of the Bible spells Adam A-D-A-M, but he says he thinks the original translation was A-D-H-A-M, like Ad-Ham, like Ham, or something like that. A-D-H-A-M.
You can say that in the sense that you have the root word, which is DM.
DM, okay.
Yeah, damn. But because you add in what they call vowels, they're actually tones or phonetics. So when you have the word damn, you have blood. That's what it translates to mean. DM actually just means blood. You with me? What color is blood?
Red.
Red. So now you have the vowels, alif, delef, mim. That in the Hebrew, that'll make the word Adam. Or you move away the E, so the A, and you put the E, you get the word Edom. You see what I'm saying? It's an interchange of phonetics. You understand?
So
but the root, you have to get to, yeah, exactly. That's why he's the master of linguistics, the master teacher, because he gives you the true essence and meaning of the word. Yeah.
Well, we've got. Are you
Yeah.
Does that answer your question? Because we have a question online.
Oh, yes, yeah. Sorry, I have to go now.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Sad to see you go already.
But thank
There
you
you
for
go,
taking
long
the time
journey.
to come.
2.5
Yeah,
hours
long journey. Yeah.
to the
Oh,
hinterland, yeah.
well, thank you for coming. And safe travels back.
Safe journey. Safe journey.
Right, we've got Renee. Renee, do you want to unmute and ask a question? Right, I think Renee dropped off. Kobe?
So I've got a few questions. I'm going from 144 to 147. Zamar, could you just scroll down a little bit? Just
Yeah,
so
yeah. Yeah, 144, yeah.
All right. So 144, where it says most of the Australian Aborigines have their barrow-free gland and use their 4 higher senses. Okay, so with the Australian Aborigines in 146, it says they have 6 ether straight hair and even blonde hair with the copper toned skin. So even though they were 6 ether, they still were able to keep their barrow-free gland. Is that something that's possible? Like, I'm just because I always thought it was you could only get that if you raised yourself to a particular frequency, or is that because it had been removed from us and we need to get it back? Like, how
Precisely.
Yeah.
There you go. It was maimed in us. So this is why we're explaining that not all Mukasu or Caucasians
Mm.
are Adamites, because the genetical removing or maiming was done on the Adamites.
Hey,
You see what I'm saying? And not on all the different Caucasians that were on the planet. Does that make sense?
it does, Zaman, but my thing is, so
Go on, probe away.
so all of us that have our barrow-free gland removed, like, is that down to this process here, down to what happened with the Adamites and they mixed in with all of us?
That's what happened, and it was also done to us because eventually done to us due to the fact that through the mixing and us having it, we would manipulate or use it incorrectly because it's an actual gift. And by the time that we've mixed in so far, that gift will be used unwisely. So that had to be then removed from us, and also happen within the morphogenetic field as well.
Can you elaborate on that in terms of the morphogenetic field? How did that?
Okay. So the morphogenetic field is where your DNA basically is written.
Okay.
So anything that happens to you on the physical side, it gets uploaded and recorded in the morphic field. Okay. So what happens in the morphic field is that every generation or descendant of yours, what you've done now up to the point where you transition will all be recorded. That's all of us. It gets uploaded or recorded in the morphic field. And that morphic field is linked to the Akasha records.
Okay.
Does that there? So if you had been studious, done all your elevation and chanting and living by Wu-Sabat and living by Ashok and all of that, and all your great deeds and works, that's all being recorded in the morphic field. Whatever you learn and also unlearn. So you're now recording that. So any person in your immediate family have access to that morphic field. Now, when you now take in other races and mix with them, they also now have the ability to link into your morphic field and affect your DNA.
So their decisions could technically
Exactly.
my transition.
Yeah, it can affect it. Yeah. This, you can find this breakdown in Intelligent Design, Divine Design, or Plot of Aliens. If you like me to, I can read it for you, but maybe closer to the end, because obviously we're trying to see if we can get through more of this. But I hope that clarifies the question regarding the Aborigines.
It does. I just have one more question.
Sure.
So 145, Hindus began to give reference to the one half animal, one half human creatures that came from Kingu. What creatures were they?
Okay.
And where, and also Kingu?
Where's Kingu, did you say?
Yeah, where or what is Kingu?
Oh, okay. Kingu was if you go up, it was actually a moon. So let's go up. So no clicking on. Okay, so verse 106. The disagreeable Hindus, were made to leave by the Lunarians, the original inhabitants on Kingu, later named after their great ruler Lunar and his people being called Lunarians. The disagreeable Hindus made haste and left Lunar, their dwellings abandoned, while the agreeable Hindu returned to their home Nirvana in Procyon, the binary star in the Canis Minor constellation. Then these black-skinned, straight-haired beings came to the planet Tiamat, now called Earth, originally called Tiwawat. When they left Kingu, also called Lunar, now called the Moon, they landed and established the land of Chaldea, meaning land of demons. Does that answer your question?
It does. I just wanted to know what the creatures were, the half animal, half.
Okay, so what was happening in Nirvana is that they were doing a lot of, let's just say, experimentations. And some of these half man, half creatures, you can find, like for instance, in Kidu, the bull man, the satires. Yeah, there's certain half man, half creatures that they were grafting. Yeah, and some were reptilians, some were, but it's really dealing with the satyrs who are half man, half bull. Like you got your Enkidu, you got your satyrs, you got your griffins. Yeah, different creatures that they were literally grafting. Not just them, other extraterrestrials as well.
Okay.
So when you read the Hindu Upanishads, you read about a lot of these Garuda, different, human beings with bird heads, etc., that were coming to this planet.
Let me ponder on that. But this is a great.
Huawei. But if you go into the Hindu pantheons, and you see a lot of their images of their deities.
Yes.
That's what it's referring to. But the Satyr will be one of them, half man, half goat.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, in fact, here you go now, look.
Okay,
The centaur. There you go. You see it? Yeah, so that would be one of the creatures.
Would Baphomet be one?
Baphomet will be a depiction of the Satyr, yeah. But Baphomet is just something I created by a being called Levy. Is it Anton Levy? Yeah, Anton Levy. Okay. He created that based on of what he was reading, had been reading about satanic worship. Okay, so I hope that answers your question, clarifies anything. Please probe if you're not, fully satisfied.
Right, Renee is back. Renee, you had your hand up earlier. Do you want to unmute and ask a question?
Renee, Rahubat.
Can you hear
We're
me?
gonna continue.
Yeah, we can
Oh,
hear
yeah,
you.
Tua. Yeah.
Okay, I have a question about the word begot. What does that
Okay.
mean exactly? Beget. Like where it says Abram beget, and is that I'm not getting a clear understanding of what that word actually means.
Okay. It's a what you call a Shakespearean word of Old English origin. It merely means to give birth to. But obviously, Abraham wasn't the one that was begetting. It was his partner, the female that was giving birth. But because it's a male-dominated religion that we're dealing with, they always gave the homage to the male. So either Esau begat this, Abraham begat this, begat. So he just gave birth to. You find in the original language of Arabic, you have the word yalad, yeah, and the yalad or mulad ties in back to the feminine meaning of the word. It's actually not a masculine meaning. So that is a little way of knowing the differentiation between who gave birth. But as is a patriarchal religion, they always give it to the male.
Okay, I understand now. Thank you.
Right.
Question.
Please, go ahead.
The God book said that
Hmm.
with the begetting of children, from my understanding, I always thought that the sperm contains a spirit or something of the, and that's why they we have our father's last names and even the names of lands and stuff, the names of people, and I don't know. Is there a different? I don't know this teaching.
Tua. Yes, I understand your question. And like I was saying, is this a male-dominated society? Okay. So they will always give the reverence to the male. But when you look in our culture, in our society, the female is the one that carries the child. The female is the one that the spirit enters into in order to actually go the bay. Yes, the sperm does have a spirit. You with me? But what's taking place is that the spirit goes into the mother, but the process of growth and nurturing, etc., is by way of the mother. And there's something that has not been made maybe privy or you're not aware of. It's something called mitochondria DNA. So you have what is known as nuclear DNA, and then you have mitochondria DNA. Nuclear DNA, everyone has that and inherits that from both parents. But the only DNA that is not inherited from mother to child, male child, okay, is the mitochondrial DNA. That is only passed from the mother to the daughter. So you understand? So we follow that concept and that natural rules of nature. And that's why we acknowledge our mothers as the matriarch. So our culture is actually a matriarchal society. It's a matriarchal culture. Okay.
Too many questions.
No. That's what you're here for. That's what Wu-Sabat is about, leveling, growing in levels in your mind. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Could this be why the woman has the period and all this stuff to cleanse from this mitochondria DNA? Can you pass from a woman to a daughter? Can that be passed on to men?
Yes, it gets. Is there still? Yeah, the men still have it. It's just that when the ovum, okay, and the sperm fuse, only the nuclear part, which is in the head, goes into the actual female. So then they share that DNA, the nuclear DNA. You see what I'm saying? But the tail end, where the actual mitochondria is, which is actually also works off of energy, because they just know it as a mitochondria that gives energy, not in the form of something called anodine triphosphate, which is ATP. Yeah, so that ATP gives the tail the ability to move, but the actual sperm itself has intelligence. You with me? And also has a spirit, but the actual mitochondrial DNA drops off before the sperm fuses with the egg. The female, though, has it already. You see what I'm saying? In her egg system, in her ovum. So she will then pass all that genetic material and the mitochondrial DNA, because what the mitochondrial DNA is actually is the record of our existence from mother to daughter. It gets passed on. So what happens is, if that is kept pure, then we can actually tap into any female on the planet, you with me, extract that if we had the right necessary instruments, and decode it and be able to tell you the female was here first, not the male. By that. And we haven't even gone to something called parthenogenesis yet. Because parthenogenesis is that females had the ability to give birth without the aid of a man. Yeah, now that's what I'm saying. I'm not gonna do that yet, but just know that mitochondria is passed on from female to female, and the male doesn't pass it on. So,
Yeah. Right, we've got Neymar, got the hand up, and then after that we'll have Omar. Neymar, you want to unmute and ask a question?
Yes, sir. Thank you. So the question that I have is in regards to the Adamite race. Well, I have a couple of questions. So the Adamite race, would that be the Caucasian that is existing today? And then
that's correct.
Okay. And then, so there's the Adamite race, and then if I understand correctly, there's the Edomite race, which came from the two sons that Rebecca had.
They were all Caucasians. They were all Adamites. It's just that the name changes makes you think they did two different people. But as I explained to the brother, the A and the E, which are vowels, are interchangeable. So Edom was a version of Adam. Do you see what I'm saying? The Edomites.
Yeah. Okay. So
Does
like
that make sense?
Descendants
Sorry?
of Adam. So they were like descendants of Adam.
That's right, exactly.
Okay.
They were all Adamites. And then
Got
what took place is that the Adamites went and, let's just say, enjoyed themselves. Because when you look at the book of Genesis, their God told them to be fruitful and multiply.
Mm-hmm.
But unbeknown to the Adamites, which is another story, is that they were food. They were food source. You with me?
Yes.
For these extraterrestrials that created them. So they were told to have dominion, go forth, multiply, and be consumers of the land. And you can see in what they exhibit now in their traits on the planet.
Yes.
Everywhere they go, there's either disease, war, they consume, do you know what I mean? They deplete the earth of its natural resources, and then they move on.
Definitely. So then the other question I have is in regards to, one, is the story of Yaqub accurate? And if so, the grafted Caucasians that came out of that process, where do they fit in the picture?
So when you're asking about Yaqub, you're not asking about Yaqub made by, okay. So you're not, are you asking about the Flugorods of Yaqub's grafted devil, which is taught by the Nation of Islam? Is that the one you're asking about?
Yes.
Or
I'm
Jacob?
not exactly sure where that story originated, but I did hear it through the Nation of Islam originally.
Right.
However, years ago, I saw a animated movie. I'm sure I could find it on YouTube that I do believe was produced by the Nuwaupian community. And it talks about like the inner earth people and how there would be, in order to bring us back into our original state, we would have to basically do the reverse process of what Yakub did as a scientist, which it does make sense. It sounds a little outrageous, but it does make sense how if you breed two people and you keep the lighter child, I mean, it's a wicked process, obviously, but
Well,
so
that's not
I
what,
just didn't
that's
know if
not
that
what,
was.
sorry to cut you, Zamalta, not to be offensive or rude, but
No
that
problem.
sounds more of the story of Yakub than what we as Nuwaupians or Sabians would do in order to reverse that process. You with me? What took place with Yakub and his followers that he assembled together was that they were going to create a being that was weak and wicked. You with me? So that he could prove that he was a scientist and a god to them. So remember we were reading about the Hindus, and when I'll read again from verse 1 to where's the part where I read about there's two different, in every race or species, know that there's agreeable and disagreeable, okay? And some of them can be very demonic. So some of these Hindu scientists that were with Yakub, they were very demonic and wicked by nature. So they grafted out of them that evil and wicked gene. You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
So the process of killing one, then letting the other one live, that would have been a practice that was done by them. But if you're practicing the true science of eugenics, that's what it's referred to as eugenics. The true science of eugenics is looking at what traits and recessive and dominancy is in our genes.
Yes.
Okay. And then working to strengthen those genes, because genes determine your intelligence, genes determine your survival rate, they determine a lot of things. So if we purify and protect our genes, that means we can keep a timeline and protect our DNA so that our next generation that are born don't have what we have now, which is the traumas and the mental instabilities, etc. You see what I'm saying? So hence, we have to start learning about our own being, our own cells, our own DNA, what each of us physiologically, mentally, emotionally, how we interact with each other, etc. Study all these aspects of our being so that when we are in relationships and when we do choose a partner and do produce a child, it's based all off of the science of sound right reasoning, the science of knowing when to produce a child, the science of when to have sex, etc. You with me? These are all part of the processes required to create a child that will be linked into their ancestors so that they don't have to be fallen victim to the misinformation and mistranslations and all of these things, or somebody coming to bamboozle them and make them ignorant of self and kind. That's what we're working towards, but it's done in a process called something called eugenics.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Very well put. Thank you.
Okay. You're most welcome, Marta.
All right. Thank you. Omar?
Right back, Samal is right back.
Robert?
Okay, my question was, can you refer me to the most accurate etymology dictionary that you study or Sabine's study? Because I know it has changed, like after the 60s, the study of etymology changed. So I'm wondering what's the most accurate one that you study?
Okay, the most up-to-date one, I wouldn't say accurate, but the most up-to-date one that we utilize, or I have been personally utilizing, is called an online etymology dictionary.
Okay.
And if you type it in on Google, it will just pop up straight away. So in that one, it's quite diverse. It's quite what's the word, detailed in its origin, but also cross-reference it with what you do have, because some of the time they may update certain things because they don't want you to know the true essence of it.
And
So they
that's
might
why
massage. Yeah,
that's what I meant by when I said accurate. Because
yeah.
after the 60s, I studied that the study of etymology has changed like
Okay.
over
Yeah,
time.
it has. Yeah, yeah. I would agree with you because there's certain books I've had too from when I was started on this journey and I was reading the etymology. Certain things have changed. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you, Samara.
Antakatiro for them.
All right, Kobe.
Zamar, I've got a question about the morphogenetic field, but I know, obviously, I'm looking at the time and I know you've got some stuff to go through. Should I wait until afterwards or?
Yeah, you're right with that. You sure? You want to go through a bit more? Okay. Let me bring up the intelligent design. Yeah. Oh, do we have it upstairs? Intelligent design. Yeah. Otherwise, I'll just read it from here. Take it quicker to get from up here.
All right, Zamar, what I'll do then, I'll wait for you to finish reading that and then follow up with my question. If that's
Sure. Oh, it's popped up anyway. But I will find it. So yeah, carry on.
Okay.
Correct.
I'm just checking. Neymar, did you also have a question again, or do you want to lower your hand?
No,
Okay,
sir,
thank you.
my apologies. I'm a little new to using Zoom.
It's okay.
Okay, no worries.
All right. So, while Brother Seer is looking for that text, we'll continue from 146. The Australian Aborigines have 6 ether, straight hair, even blonde hair with copper-toned skin. 147. Also, there is an Aryan who calls himself Indo-Aryan, meaning noble. One noble Aryan who is also of this cursed. No, we found it. Thank you, Zamal. Cursed seed. Do you find it?
Yeah, I found it.
All right. I'll pause there for now, and then we'll come back.
Okay, so this is from Actual Fact, series number 46, called Intelligent Design, Divine Design, or Plot of Aliens. Okay, so in verse 65, it reads, a biological inheritance does not change unless you change them, alter the divine code in your Yakhasat genes, or an epigenetic modification of the chromosomes, DNA, or genes. So bear in mind, this is what these extraterrestrials have been doing. Yes, you have to just bear that in mind. Verse 67. Much of that depends on morphic resonance from previous members of your own Yasal family and end species, or those you exchange fluids with, or eat, which is turned into fluid. Then the damam, blood, and then the mag, brain. Verse 68, as well as contributes to the collective memory. Verse 69, it's a known fact that persons raised in the same Yasal family have a similar health outcomes. Again, go on to TED Talks on YouTube. You'll be able to find more information about morphic fields on there as well. What the Kakasu course have taught over the past 6,000 years, a more recent and accepted scientific paradigm of genetic determinacy is now being exposed as wrong. Verse 71, genes are not locked into a specific code, unchangeable, and can change on a daily basis. And they do just that. Wu-nuwaupians change you, and you think you are in love when you're not. Verse 72, over the past and in world religions, you hear these terms: transform, transfigurate, evolute, change, morph, evolve, shapeshift. How mortals were able to alter their physical appearance, this has been recorded the world over. I'm going to try some more on the morphic field. Right, verse 82. Wu-nuwaupians of wu-nuwaup. That very word, kayuf, morphing, and kayafui, morphic, you must understand that the primary components of life are orchestrated by something or someone. Verse 83. The morphic resonance thinkers say that even though you appear separate, you are bound together in a common field. And it is within that field that communication among cells, DNA, particles, and on takes full place, and on takes place all life is living is one existence. While the neuroscience explain or try to explain gravitation and outline what they call invisible force of dark energy, dark matter, neutrino, which they claim holds all things together, dark energy being a form of energy that permeates all space and can affect the rate at which things move through the universe and characterize gravity. Just jump a few more. On takes full place, and on takes place all life can affect the rate at which things move through the universe and characterize gravity. Just jump a few more. On takes verse 99. Place, so morphogenesis teaches that something imposes a pattern of organization on a field, producing specific outcomes in material things or matter, physical. These fields are not fixed, they evolve. Okay, I think that pretty much was it. Yeah, I think that's it, but there might be a few more if oh, here you go. Yeah. I'll read it from verse 109. This is part of the reason you can see, take care, you can see a Haradu child that doesn't have cancer in his genes end up developing the disease when exposed to a field which consistently created it. That is also why some people with cancer-causing genes don't get cancer at all. So in the Nuwaupians, you have residence, your own personal field in your Yahasat genes, and resonant, resound, all the sounds we as wu-nuwaupu Nuwaupians know as C major for this Wahu Makwan universe, F major for this Mikwak planet, and A major for your physical Khatat body. Vibrating or resonant frequencies played at once creates harmony in your hormones. And these can be transmitted in the fields or passed on through a non-resident frequency or non-local resonance into your consciousness and affects your genes. Each race vibrates on our own scale of Masak music. This is why if you listen to Afaf Reye Ka'a Masak African music, it is unlike Dravadu, Indian, or Atralu, Aborigine, or Nagalu, Asian music. The key notes are not the exact same. And I'll leave it there. Okay.
Does that answer your question, Kobe, about the field?
Yeah, it does. It has touched on a few things. So my question is, when you say, I know it mentioned the genetic kiss and when you're having a child with someone, does that bond in the genetic field also come from, yeah, so I guess like marriage is part of that as well.
Sure.
Okay. So
know this, marriage as a form of unity or unification of two individuals goes more than just beyond the two individuals. You're marrying ancestors in your bloodline. You understand? And the conflict starts because some of these ancestors don't get along.
Yeah.
You know, yeah. They may look at you one, you may look at your partner one, is like, I don't like her, man. She gets on my nerves. And then there'll be another time like, man, she look good. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. All of these are at play because you have relatives in your bloodline because they're all linked into your morphic field. And they operate on your conscious level.
So literally a marriage can just, it can change your whole relationship.
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, because earlier my brother just read how, particularly in the mitochondrial DNA aspect too, it can change and it changes constantly. And by way of that, you've got the ancestors feeding in. Things change. So, I mean, marriage is one thing, a healthy or happy marriage is another thing. And it latches on to what we discussed close to the beginning. It's making those choices, understanding the impacts of your choices as a way to, transmute or purify yourself in readiness for, becoming an ether being again.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so it's only right to assume that this is a universal thing. So the same way someone can affect you negatively, they can also affect you positively
Sure.
with morphogenic field as well.
Sure. Yeah.
Okay, so is it like, does it link directly to the relatives like mother and father, or does it extend beyond that and go into like cousins, brothers, sisters?
Okay, we'll read it. We'll read it again. Like, I don't want them to. I'll read it again.
All
Right. So you have what's called okay, if I can't find it, I'll try and remember it. Not word for word. You have resident, okay, and you have resonant. You with me? So one is that it's your own personal field, and the other is your relatives and other family members, extended family members. So just imagine it like a rippling effect. If you drop a pebble into water, yeah, and it just ripples out. You with me? Drop a boulder in water, you're gonna get a tsunami. But the principle is there. You know what I mean? It's a rippling effect, which is the morphic field is a field of ripples.
So we normally highlight the 4 generations of mother and father, and that's part of that field affecting, be it positive or negative, your experience.
So you can call on both sides of the family, relative side or the partner that you're with. You can call on them if you knew any agreeable ones in there. You can speak to them because they're now linked to you.
Yeah. Okay. Total.
Right. Zamaltat, you're burning to ask a question.
Well, the question is so irrelevant to everything we've been speaking about so far. Am I okay to proceed?
It's his class. It's Greg's class.
Absolutely.
So you can ask.
All right. You see how we were talking about processing in the mind of things, and it's not necessarily that you're overwhelmed, but that you're not processing the information or the energy that's being given to you. How do we go about processing if it's not within our DNA? Say if we were born very agreeable in a way, and we had a very empathetic nature, right? How do we process how to understand disagreeable natures? I say this because part of me thinks we are supposed to understand that. And the reason why Partner Babya knew...
You can be totally agreeable, but there's always 180 and 180.
Sure.
There's always going to be 180 and 180.
Sure.
It's where you lean.
Sure.
You understand? Because there's a balance.
Sure.
Which makes the 360.
Exactly. And that's what I was going to say in terms of Partner Babya Noon is so balanced that even if disagreeable beings are around him, he doesn't freak out. That makes sense. In the same way that we would, in the sense of like, oh my gosh, what's wrong with you? Why are you acting like this? Yeah. Like, he has a very understanding nature of, I know why you're like this and I know how to fix you.
Yeah, that's why he was sent.
But how do we get to the point of processing information or processing energy to be able to see that and go, I know what the problem is and I know how to deal with that?
I think it comes down to sound right reasoning. Right? We tap into the global mind.
Yeah,
it's a global mind. So we have information, and let's also not forget we've got our ancestors and our instinct. So when you go again in terms of processing, I'm just utilizing going into a quiet space, allowing the information to filter through, almost like having a conversation with yourself. Obviously, we now have a mentor, Brother Hussein mentioned that you've got the answers on both sides, and you can actually use a metaphor, sit them at the board table, right? And then each one have their say. Ask the question, why am I feeling this? You'll get a response, trust me, right? What's the best course of action? You know, and as the director of
Your show.
your show,
Of your life.
you can make these decisions, and you can instruct, you can ask them to help, you know, and they will.
Yep, truth is truth. And that, yeah, for them out there. Yeah,
Right. Just tapping into, this. Okay, fantastic. I think everybody's questions have been answered. We are all enlightened Ethereum beings now, so that's fantastic. Right. I'm continuing from verse 148. And from their descendants are the Shaggies, who mixed with the Hindus. 149, the physical appearance of the Aryan, the Sanskrit word for noble, is the albino who lived in the Caucasus or Caucasian mountains. 150, which is a region between the Black Sea on the west and the Caspian Sea on the east. 151, a great mountain range which raises to 18,510 feet at Mount Elbrus. 152, from the word abrus, meaning leprosy in Ashuric and saru in Nuwaubic. 153, Caucasia is a part of Russia, has an area of 170,000 square miles. 154, the Greek named it Caucasia, which is the home of the Flugeroids, as they are called in Almany, or what is called Germany today. And the original name is Halabians, or Hulu, which is to distinguish themselves from the descendants of Labana, Canaan, the Caucasians, right? 155, Caucasian, deteriorating Asiatics. 156, Elbrus, home of those Abras beings, lepers of the mountains, are also called the sons of Canaan. 157, that's the term abracadabra, a mystical word has used in incantations or in a charm to ward off disease. 158, originally said abras cadaver, used to mean the bodies of lepers. 159, these sons of Canaan are those which the tribe of Amorite, meaning mountain dwellers, come from. 160, Elbrus housed the ancient volcano formed during the Tertiary period. The periods are broken up into epochs of unequal duration. The Paleocene, Eocene, Oligocene, Miocene, and Pliocene. 161, it has two cones rising to 18,500 feet, 510 feet. And the other cone is 18,481 feet, where the glaciers feed the Cuban, Malka, and Baxan rivers. 163, these mountain peaks where the volcanoes got the name from the Vulcans, who were of Maldek. 164, while inhabiting these mountains, they incurred difficulties in reproducing due to the lack of salt in their bodies. 165, these cavern-dwelling beings came out of the mountains dwelling with a desire to reproduce. So they were seeking melanites, for the lack of the necessary quantity of melanin in their bodies. 166, they commenced savagely raiding Nubian villages, killing the men and stealing the women. 167, then returning to the mountains where their captives are the albino lepers, cavemen, aborigines, Amorite, Aryan, fought among themselves for the possession of the Nubian woman. 168, in order to assure security, the Aryans migrated with the Nuban captives. 169. From the Caucasus Mountains to what is known today as India, to mix in with the original Indians. The Hindus from the planet Nirvana, or Procyon in the Canis Minor constellation. 170. The merging of the two extreme races of the Caucasian and the Nuban brought about a being that reflects the trait of both the Negroid and the Caucasoid. Any questions there? Because now we're getting to a stage where we've had the people living in the mountains. We had the Hindus coming from the constellation of Nirvana. Canis Minor, thank you. Canis Minor's constellation. And they went out and conquer the Nuban people. Yeah, so any questions there?
Yeah, I've got a question. This mixture, what you just described, are they called the Davidians?
No.
No.
The
So who are
Dravidians will be your Hindus.
okay? So who are these new breed of people what were just created from this kidnapping?
That would be like just mixtures of different. It's like how you have now. You have mixtures of different races on the planet. So it just produced different stocks of different races, as it were. So a stock of species came about through the mixing.
Okay, so you couldn't place a particular
specific name, you mean like a anthropological name or something on them?
Yeah, like
The
what you
master didn't really go into that. He did give us an update recently, but he never said those were the particular offspring that emerged, came from the mixture. This is who they were, unless anybody, somebody can provide another student teacher has that update or knowledge of that. But the most recent update, he gave the different species that would have been like your Nubans and also your Dravidians and also your Chinese or your Mongolians. That he gave that breakdown, the anthropological names for them. But specifically regarding the mixture and the marauding and taking.
I think what you just said, Mongolians and so forth. Yeah, I think that's what I was looking for. Because I'm trying to yeah, that's what I was looking for. That kind of mixture would come out of these people.
No, go on. Sorry.
There's a group of people are in India at the moment. They look just like Africans, but they've been in India for so long. People say that they originated from there or they came from Africa many, many years ago. So it just brought back to that. They could have been kidnapped and brought there.
Exactly. That's right. That's part of it. And don't forget the migration as well. Remember, we migrated to many different places. So part of that migration and also part of the extraterrestrial abductions. Because remember, extraterrestrials were abducting the Nubans or our ancestors, the Pataites, and they were doing experiments on them. So they'll drop them off in certain specific spots of the planet and then leave them in that habitat and then do experiments on them. So, for instance, you've got this is where part of your Dravidian stock came from, known as the Aborigines, having the yellow hair, because that was the Pleiadian interception. You see. And then you have, for instance, your blue eyes, some black or dark skin race or people have this blue eye trait. I've forgotten the actual scientific word that they use for it, but they have blue eyes. And that the master explained that's part of the interception when they're changing them, slowly changing them. So every time they'll come, they'll do another experiment to slowly bleach out the process so that they could have a place where they can inhabit. Remember, this is all about them being able to survive on this planet.
Sure. Yeah, I've seen images of children born in Nigeria but got blue eyes.
Yeah,
And the parents may abandon the wife and the child because of the
exactly.
yeah,
They think that they're demonic and stuff. Yeah,
yeah, not sure what's going on. Yeah.
going on. Yeah.
Zama.
Thanks for the master teacher for being here, innit? Yeah, Tua
Okay.
Rahubat Saken.
Rahubat. If I may just add a little bit, is that okay?
Tua.
Yeah. Tua.
Yeah, the latest update, the Let My Words Be Known, which I think you referred to as here, part 2 and 3, goes into that, because the way the master is trying to differentiate the 3 now is just to deal with that Homo habilis and the Homo naledi. So the Homo naledi will be the brown gene of the African male, and the Homo habilis will be the female brown. And then all the Asians, as you said, the Mongolians, etc., they now all refer to as the Homo florensis or the Denisovan. And then you have obviously the Neanderthal and the Cro-Magnon being the Caucasians. And then you have what we call the sub-races, which come out of those 3, but the genetic, what's the word I'm looking for? Throwback that falls out in the 4th generation. So yeah, that's. Did you pull this up before already?
Yeah. We don't know. We just pulled out when you were talking, but
Okay,
I referred to
perfect.
it. But now
That's what I was referring to. Right, there you go. So you can see like the master's now going into the details, but keep it on that. Go back up a little bit. Yeah. So as you can see, the Homo naledi, the Sans Bushmen. So when they're saying that they came, even in the Genesis story of the Nephilims taking the daughters of, it says that the sons of God took the daughters of men. So it was talking about these newborns, the Pataites that were being kidnapped. But as you can see, the word Asian goes back to the Indian mixed with the Flugelrods to produce the Caucasus Asian. So you can hear the Caucasus from the Caucasus Mountains, or the dead beings with these Indian beings to give you a being that was now dark skinned but has the straight hair. So as you can see that the Homo denisovans are Asians, the yellow germ, and the Homo florensis are the Asians, the yellow germs as well. And then you go down to the Pelces of the Cro-Magnon with the pink germ. And this also ties into what the Jakub story you guys mentioned earlier on about, where they were basically trying to wipe out the black and brown germs to lead the yellow germs, and then to get to the pink germs, and then obviously the colorless, which is the pale seeds. So we use terms like black and white, but really the pale is the absence of that melanin. So when they say white, the word is really transparent. That's where it ties into ghost, and they always show you the ghost as being white if you look at any depictions of ghosts. So it's really going from the black germ all the way to the transparent or pale seeds. So yeah, this new Let My Words Known, it's a very useful sort of resource, because even like you start to see the master using names like Kushan instead of people would say Kush, etc. But not to be too long-winded, I'll yield there.
Right. Fantastic. Right. Let's carry on. I'll go back to 170. The merging of the 2 extreme races of the Caucasian and the Nuban brought about a being that reflects the traits of both the Negroid and Caucasoid. 171. So you'll find leprosy amongst the Negroids also, 172. While the texture of their hair varies from 6 to 8 ether, 173, their features can vary, 174. The skin tone can vary, 175. The nature and behavior patterns can also vary. 176, the war between the man called the black man, the East Indian, and the man called white, the pale man, the European, is not your war, wu-nuwaup. 177, it is war between man and mankind. Yet you are deities, you are more than men. 178, their practices led to fear and intimidation, which in turn give birth to another kind of worship reincarnation of an exaggerated discipline called yoga and Padma Yoga, where one emulates deformed beings. 179, or piercing at the sun until they can no longer see, or fast until the poisons overcome their bodies. And they call this foolishness perfection. 180, this is the mother of religious disciplines. What fools these mortals be. 181, they teach you to worship in fear of your deity, but not out of sincere love of your deities. 182, they set up their empire in the land of Nod, ruled by Nuwaup, also known as Enki. Some called him Merlin, the magician. 183, when the disagreeable Avatara came down from Nirvana to the Idiglat Tigris Euphrates, clear water, they set up Ur, the land of fire worship. 184, the language they spoke was Sanskrit, later called Hindi, and then it mixed and became Urdu. They moved the worst of demons to a city which became known as Ur in Chaldea. From this incident came the original of which Enkidu, the shaggy one, descended. He lived with and had sexual intercourse with a bestialogist, which all the beasts of the outer field. 186, the Indus descendants mixed in with the Enosite women of the Dogon tribes who produced the Kuthites, which is also the tribe of Atum and Lilith, who are the parents of Cadmon, also known as Adam, the disagreeable adamant. 187, they had to breed a child called Zakar, the name Cadmon by way of Semjasa, or Atum and Lilith. 188, the rulers of the mortals in that land, who were of mixed tribe, from the 300 Anunnaki, that followed Enki. 189, those Hindu Aluhum Anaki who took Kishite, also called Kushite or Enosites woman, from Sode, the outer field of the Dogon tribe, and they raped them. When these beings came and raped the woman, they told them that they were called Nomus, and that they came from the star Sirius. However, they came from a star with one active planet called Nirvana, home of those original Hindus. I'll pause there. And I think it's just interesting how the manipulation started way back, thousands of years ago, and we're still experiencing the impact of those lies, as it were. We also now know how the Adamites are still active in basically doing the same as then, and that's why it's upon us now, during this new season, sun cycle, new season. So it's still a season to prepare us for that elevation. I'll open up for questions now. In the last 10 minutes, and then we can take it from there. Any questions on Zoom? Did we have any action or activity on Clubhouse today?
Most Clubhouse came open to us.
Fantastic. Right, Kobe, do you want to unmute and ask a question, please?
Yes or no? So I've seen it been said a few times, the Kuthite. So not Kushite, Kuthite. Who were the Kuthites? I believe it was the tribe of Atum and Lilith.
Yeah, I mean it's right here in 186. The Hindus' descendants mixed in with the Enosite woman of the Dogon tribes who produced the Kuthites, which is also a tribe of Adam and such, which is disagreeable.
Remember, we have to make a point here that when you're saying Adam, you're saying of the soil, earth. So anyone that walks on this planet is Adam in that sense. But when you're dealing with a particular tribe and gravitation, you're referring to the Adamite, you with me, who are a nation of earthlings that were specifically chosen and grafted. Yeah. So Adam would have been an appellation or an added attribution to anyone who came from that source, as it were. Yeah. So these Adamites, even though you read an Adam here, Adam there, you're thinking is that one being that, you know, you're talking about different times where that word was used. Does that make sense?
Sure.
It's just like you having your surname and then further down the line, your relatives are still using that name.
Okay. Total.
Jose or Jose, you want to unmute and ask a question, please?
Zamal.
Rahubat.
Zamal, yes, I have a question. It's a bit off topic, but my question is, what practices can one apply to have unshakable focus on projecting the future intentionally?
Can you say that again?
Yeah, just a bit louder, Zamal.
Yes, what are the practices that can one apply to have unshakable focus on projecting the future intentionally?
Okay.
On projecting the future intentionally. So are we talking manifestation?
Yes.
Okay. Well, in that case, I think if you want to get sharp in something, you need to practice it. And to improve your focus, you need to focus. So that includes practices like meditation. That includes practices like fasting, because during fasting, your body goes through different processes, and it requires you to come back to the original thought or ideal plan, and that will keep you focused, but ultimately it reinforces focus.
Yep, definitely all of those above, and to employ mindfulness and something known as I don't know if you ever heard of a vision board. You ever heard of a vision board? Jose, you there?
Yeah, twice a month. I've been doing a vision board of the past decade intentionally.
So yeah, so a vision board is a very hands-on kind of tool where wherever you want to manifest, you also, because it's a kind of like a loop back, like a loop, feedback loop, where what you see is also what you're going to manifest. You see what I'm saying? So you're conditioning the subconscious, to also propel these into your mind's eye and develop it, which will then project it into the universe, and the universe, being a field of energy, will manifest that in time. So it's literally having a vision board as one way of doing it. You have a vision board of your dream house, your journey, where you want to be, etc. And there's another one called mind mapping, where you can actually use a tool. There's an actual app or thing where you can actually put the information into a mind map, starting with you in the center. And these are what you want to be doing in this amount of years, etc. So mind mapping, vision board, mindfulness, meditation, positive thinking. These are all, yeah, it's not just a one fit job, but it's like, yeah, different things, different processes, different steps.
Yeah. Yeah, so if I may just add a quick one, Brother Sam mentioned it, but it's that emotion, it's the energy in motion that's also vital. And I think you, depending on your daily practice, we do the affirmations at 9, 3, and 9. So again, you can utilize that space since you're in that practice to run that movie, as it were, of what you want, you know, adding the emotions. And then obviously when you wake up, you've got the vision board that pings back to you that, that image. So it's just subtly reinforcing it at various levels.
Sure. Robert.
Isabella Jose mentioned about the future. Doesn't the future already exist?
Sure. 100%. 100%. So is the vision about what already exists, but you have to work towards it. So it's all about work, because you can have a vision. It's like you're saying, and you can have water, a bucket full of water, and take a horse, but you can't make it drink. Do you know what I mean? So you have to work towards that vision, even though you have projected it and it's in the future, it's in that morphic field, but it's also the work involved.
Yeah, if I may, I think also just in addition to that, the work that you do includes assuming it's done, because you have all these variations, infinite possibilities or variations of this moment. This moment, I could be standing here with a red, crown or whatever, but you know what I mean. So all those variables, all of those possibilities are happening at the same time, and everything happens like with focus. I'll use the analogy of in a game. You know, you play your game, but there's things happening in the surroundings, and they will pop up and go. But it's where you focus and what perspective you assume in that game at that time that matters.
Yeah. The reason why I brought up the future, and I say the future has already existed, is because there's no future. It really exists now. And the past still exists now. So the brother now, when he mentions about the future, is he really saying in essence, moving to another frequency and accessing that timeline on another frequency right now? If you also want to say, meaning that the master did say that the future has already happened and the past is still happening. So is the brother really, in essence, wanting to know, how can I align myself to the future, or bring that future
to the now? Well, in that case, I would say that aligns with the brother understanding, Jose understanding what he wants, being very clear, being very detailed. I mean, to use the example of the mind map, if it's manifesting a house, you know, how big the house is, where the house is, the color of the house, what furniture is in it, what different finishing is in it. And then having that, let's use a movie, when he opens the door, he sees all of that type of stuff, the flooring finishes, the couching, the paintings on the wall, etc., and how that makes him feel. Because if he walks into his existing house now, having that experience in his brain, his subconscious does not distinguish between whether it's in the future or it's in the past or if it's now. And then the aspects of the universe will align or reconfigure itself to the point where that actually happens. For example, he may win the lottery, or a relative may donate that said exact house to him, or whatever the case may be. And that's my perception of how you can take that point and bring it back to the now.
Well, in essence, what you're saying is, the more clearer is visualization, the quicker the manifestation.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
And the persistence in that, holding that frequency for that matter.
I'll give an example. Panababianon had an old lecture. It's called The Mind's Eye. And he was trying to, when they bought Bushwick Avenue, as an example, and to build a temple from nothing, he explained about how the mind's eye works and what thoughts are, etc. And just like the analogy that Gore gave, is that if I ask two people, give me how a clock works, and the person says, well, he has a face on it and it just goes tick tock, tick tock. Then you ask the second person, it's like, well, the clock works because it has intricate dials and it has cogs and wheels and things like that. That person is being specific, is being visualizing exactly how something is working. So that in itself is very vivid. And that again goes back to a child. A child has vivid imagination. Do you get what I'm saying? They can tell you exactly what they want because they have vividity. It's when we get older that we lose that kind of vivid ideas, etc. So yeah.
And just also to latch on to what my brother is saying, in terms of that exact example, that also reflects intelligence, because if you look at something and say the watch and the clock is just two arms and a face, got numbers on it, that's one level of intelligence. But understanding, saying it's a clock, it's got this gold frame, it's got a see-through glass, it's got these dials, etc., etc. It reinforces the level of intelligence and the creativity that goes with it, and that obviously in turn comes back to the clarity and the vividness that my brother mentioned.
Yeah, I remember that lecture the master gave. He did say that the clock, he ties it into two type of mindsets: the overachiever.
That's right.
The underachiever.
Yeah.
Like you said, that the more clearer your description or your vividness, you are in that category of an overachiever, and the less descriptive you are in that category of an underachiever.
That was that. Last question, because time, we've been told time.
In terms of what you're saying, in terms of that visualization, would therefore it be beneficial for you to have counter visualizations so that you can visualize the entire scope of options? So, for example, there's like different types of fate. I thought I might be wrong, but I thought I would ask anyway.
No. You're
Not wrong. It's counterproductive.
Yeah.
Because what happens is, remember, it's a subconscious mind, isn't it? You're putting this into your subconscious mind, and your subconscious mind plays out. So the subconscious mind is like a bit like a computer. If you feed it information, it's going to regurgitate all those counterproductive things into, and that will lead to confusion.
Unnecessarily.
Okay, I see what you mean, but like, for example, if I only understand what rich looks like, then I would be like, yeah, I want to be rich. But if I understood what poor also looked like, then I would also understand what exactly is it about rich that I want to be, why I associate my energy with rich instead of poor. Does that make any sense?
It does make sense. It makes sense what you're saying.
It makes sense. And I think one has to consider how the brain works, and the level of understanding the future, past, and now, and how it operates is understanding the subconscious. The subconscious does not distinguish between right or wrong, left or right, cold or hot. It just is, right? So when you feed it, when you get into that vibration of what you want, how detailed is specifically what you want, it will discard everything else and just rearrange things.
It's all about focus.
Yeah. So that's why even when you use language, because in the Bible they mention God said, "Let there." So the power in your tongue is immense, and as such, you want to be mindful of the words and thoughts that you use.
So if
to that extent,
you're feeding all this what ifs.
So what you're saying, what my understanding of what you're saying is basically overthinking can be counterproductive instead of actually productive.
To some degree, yeah.
Okay, so what?
Keep it simple. There's a saying, but I won't repeat the rest. It says kiss. Keep it simple and the rest. All right.
No, thank you very much, everyone, for being here. It's always a pleasure, and it's a enlightening experience. I think all of us, our vibrations are raised when we exchange this information, and we obviously thank our master teacher, Panama Bianun, who's beautifully articulated all these aspects, allowing us to raise our vibration and go to the stars and beyond one day. So thank you for your time. Thank you for your focus, per se. And thank you for being with us this evening.
Welcome, Moisar. And yeah, obviously, if there's more questions, you also got OSM on YouTube, Wu-Sabat, you know, to tune into. Second Murray on Tuesdays. We also have our readings, our study readings on Thursdays as well. So you got a whole plethora, you know, things, options that you can learn from and study from. There's also many student teachers around the different parts of the world that you can tune into. So yeah, Tawakum, and have a pleasant day or evening, depending where you are. All right. Wu-nuwaup, Moisar.